It's April of 2025. Donald Trump is president. Republicans control the House and the Senate. And all gun control has been repealed. Hooray! We can close up shop. It's been fun, y'all. Obviously, that's not the case. But we have at least rolled back the last 4 years of anti-gun edicts, right? Oh, that's right. We haven't. Sorry, y'all. I'll stop being sarcastic. It's not all bad, and there are some things to feel good about. But there are also some moves that have gun owners scratching their heads. This week, we got another announcement on your rights. But is it actually a step in the right direction, or is it a stalling technique? I'm sure you've already guessed it, but today we're diving into something that's got every Second Amendment supporter fired up. The Department of Justice, under Attorney General Pam Bondi, just announced a new Second Amendment task force and a review of Biden-era gun control rules. Sounds promising, right? But hold up. Reviews, task forces, suggestions? Are we building a municipal park, or are we going to restore our rights? Now, maybe it's just me, but I am old enough to remember when this entire whole process was supposed to take 30 days, way back in the olden days of March of 2025. So what is actually going on here? Well, let's start with the good. Bondi did fire the ATF's chief legal counsel. Very little is known as to why, but based on the agency's overtly aggressive behavior towards gun owners, firing a bad actor at the ATF should be about like fishing with dynamite. Now, in her place is Rob Leader. And from just looking at his public work on the Second Amendment and his written stances, there's a lot to be happy about with that hire. Also let go was Deputy Director Marvin Richardson. He's been with the agency for the last 30 years. That would take him from the Waco days all the way to Brian Malinowski. Now, here's a clip of him highlighting his achievements with the agency. I promise you're not going to feel bad for him after you watch this.
And so we have been limited by the language in the statutes. Well, here just recently, over the last year, we overhauled those two statutes. That was no small feat, because literally when you talk about changing it, we had to do it through a regulatory process, not a statutory process, because we couldn't change the language of the statute, but we could redefine the terminology that's in the statute to make it fit today's standards.
It's also been announced that the Department of Justice is looking for methods to help restore certain felons' Second Amendment rights, a move that a lot of us really didn't see coming, but it's a welcome one. Now, if you committed a white-collar crime 20 years ago and you've served your time, you shouldn't be stripped of your right and ability to protect yourself and your loved ones for the rest of your life. Now, provided the DOJ follows through on that promise, it will provide a greatly needed avenue of relief for a lot of law-abiding Americans that have been unjustly stripped of their rights. There have also been some puzzling moves. Director Dettelbach is out, but we still don't have a confirmed director. First, it was Kash Patel, which led many to believe that the agency might be getting absorbed into the FBI. And that would be a move that has some upside, yes, but also creates some dangerous downsides as well. But now we've learned that the new acting director of the ATF is Daniel Driscoll, who was recently confirmed by the Senate not as the ATF director, but as the Secretary of the Army. This is the most advanced game of musical chairs we have ever seen. Whatever this agency is doing with their strategy, they are playing their cards close to the vest. So in lieu of speculation, here's what we know is in need of fixing, and here is how we submit that it should be done. So let's start with the mess that we're in. Starting back in 2021, the Biden administration did not waste any time trampling on our Second Amendment rights. They ordered the ATF to roll out 2 major gun control rules faster than you can say shall not be infringed. So first up, Final Rule 2021 R-05F, the ATF's ban on unserialized 80% lower receivers and firearm kits. Now, the Supreme Court recently refused to strike this one down in their Vanderstock ruling because at least some applications of that rule are within the ATF's authority. But that is permission. That is not a mandate. The DOJ can repeal this rule anytime they like, and they should. The fact of the matter is that the American people have a right to build firearms that the government does not know about. All right, second, Final Rule 2021 R-08F. That is the Pistol Brace Ban. This rule says that if you've got a pistol with a stabilizing brace, it is basically a short-barreled rifle under the National Firearms Act. That means you've got to register it with the feds or face serious consequences. And then I'm going to add a third one. Final Rule 2022 R-17F. This one is a doozy. It redefines what it means to be engaged in the business of selling firearms. So what does that translate into in plain English? Well, it means the ATF can now go after private gun sales, calling almost anyone a dealer and forcing them to jump through federal hoops like a licensed gun shop. These rules are not just inconvenient. They're a direct attack on your right to keep and bear arms. Biden's Department of Justice did not sit around forming study groups to push these rules. They acted fast. So why are we still talking about reviews now? Now let's take a step back and remember what it is we're fighting for. The Second Amendment could not be clearer. It says that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Full stop. No fine print, no loopholes. Attorney General Pam Bondi understands this. Just listen to what she said when she announced her new task force. Quote, "For too long, the Second Amendment has been treated as a second-class right. No more." That's the kind of energy we need, yes. But here's the problem. Instead of announcing immediate steps to repeal these ATF rules, we're getting a task force and yet more promises to conduct yet more review of Biden's policies. Now, come on, y'all. We don't need more reviews. The Second Amendment is the only review we need. They know everything that they need to know about these ATF rules and how unconstitutional they are, and that every day they stay on the books is another day your rights are under attack. So why does this matter? Every second that we spend on task forces and reviews is a second that law-abiding gun owners are stuck dealing with these ridiculous rules. And while there is litigation targeting these rules, if we've learned anything from the Vanderstock case, it's that we can't count on the courts to bail us out on this. And we shouldn't have to. Here's the kicker. Biden's team did not hesitate when they wanted to restrict your rights. They gave the DOJ 30 days to ban home-built firearms and 60 days to ban pistol braces. Now, of course, the DOJ took a little longer than that to actually roll out the rules, but the mandate was clear. That is how you get things done when you're serious. We've got a pro-Second Amendment administration, one that knows these ATF rules are garbage. So why are we dragging our feet? It is time for Attorney General Bondi and the DOJ to match Biden's speed, but in the right direction, repealing these rules, not studying them. All right, here's where you come in. The National Association for Gun Rights is leading the charge to pressure the DOJ to act. We've got a petition calling on Attorney General Pam Bondi to immediately start repealing these ATF rules. No more excuses, no more delays. I've got a link in the description below. It takes 30 seconds to sign, and it sends a very clear message. The American people want their Second Amendment rights protected. Specifically, we're demanding the repeal of those 3 rules I mentioned: the pistol brace ban, the private sales crackdown, and the ban on unserialized firearm kits. This isn't about just one petition. It's about showing the Trump administration that we are watching and that we expect them to deliver. The right to keep and bear arms must not be infringed, period. We've got a chance to fight back like never before. No more task forces, no more reviews, just action. Sign the petition, share this video, and let's tell Attorney General Bondi that it is time to repeal the ATF's gun control rules now.